Dr. Blue, the chief medical officer of the Galactic Central Hospital, had seen countless species across the universe, but humans continued to baffle him. Today's case was particularly perplexing. The emergency ward buzzed with activity as medical staff rushed around a newly arrived patient, a human named Jack Thompson. He was a space mining engineer who had been caught in an explosion at an asteroid mining facility. By all medical knowledge in the galaxy, he should have been dead. "Vital signs are stable," reported Dr. Green, Blue's assistant, her antenna twitching with confusion. "But that's impossible. The patient has lost 40% of his blood volume, has multiple fractures, and severe tissue damage." Dr. Blue examined the readings again. In any other species, these injuries would be fatal. Yet here was this human, not only alive but conscious and trying to sit up despite the medical staff's protests. "Sir, please remain still," Dr. Blue said, pressing a gentle tentacle against Jack's shoulder. "You've sustained severe injuries." "Just a scratch," Jack mumbled through swollen lips. "Had worse during my football days." The medical team exchanged bewildered looks. Dr. Blue had studied human physiology extensively, but their ability to survive seemingly fatal injuries defied conventional medical science. Their bodies seemed to possess an extraordinary will to live, coupled with biological mechanisms that weren't fully understood. "Begin regenerative therapy," Dr. Blue ordered, while making detailed notes about the human's condition. "And someone contact the Human Medical Research Division. They're going to want to document this case." As the medical team worked, Dr. Blue couldn't help but wonder if they'd ever truly understand these remarkable beings called humans. Their capacity for survival was becoming legendary across the galaxy, and this case would only add to their mysterious reputation. The monitors continued to beep steadily, each sound a reminder that they were witnessing something that should be medically impossible. Yet here they were, watching a human defy death once again. "Doctor," called Dr. Green, "his tissue is already showing signs of regeneration. The rate is unprecedented." Dr. Blue nodded, his crystalline eyes gleaming with fascination. This was just the beginning of what promised to be another remarkable case in the growing field of human medical studies. 2 days after Jack Thompson's arrival at the Galactic Central Hospital, Dr. Blue found himself in the middle of a heated discussion with the hospital's top medical experts. The observation room was packed with curious doctors from various species, all gathered to witness the impossible. "Look at these scan results," Dr. Blue gestured at the floating holographic images. "The human's bones are already showing signs of knitting together. The speed of tissue regeneration is unlike anything in our medical records." Dr. Red, the hospital's senior trauma specialist, waved his tentacles in frustration. "But it violates every principle of biological recovery we know. Their bodies produce something called scar tissue, a crude but effective repair mechanism. It's messy, inefficient, yet somehow works better than our most advanced regeneration techniques." Through the observation window, they watched as Jack did simple exercises in his bed, guided by a medical robot. His determination was evident despite the extensive bandages covering most of his body. "The most fascinating aspect," Dr. Green added, pulling up another holographic chart, "is their pain tolerance. Patient Thompson's pain readings are off the scale, yet he keeps insisting he's fine and asking when he can return to work." The medical team had discovered something else remarkable: Jack's body was adapting to their advanced healing treatments in unexpected ways. The alien medical technology, designed to accelerate healing in most species, was being enhanced by the human body's natural recovery processes. "It's like their bodies don't know when to give up," muttered Dr. Yellow, a specialist in comparative xenobiology. "They just keep fighting, even when our medical protocols say they should be dead." As if to prove their point, Jack called out from his bed, asking if he could have something to eat, specifically requesting something called a burger, claiming that it would help him heal faster. The alien doctors exchanged confused looks, still struggling to understand how a human could think about food in such condition. Dr. Blue made his way to Jack's bedside. "Mr. Thompson, your recovery is unprecedented. Would you mind explaining how you're feeling?" Jack shrugged, then winced slightly at the movement. "Bit sore, but nothing too bad. Had a nasty motorcycle crash back on Earth that was worse than this. Say, Doc, when can I get back to work? The mining operation needs their engineer." The medical team's recording devices whirred frantically, capturing every word. Each casual mention of previous injuries and survival only added to the growing file of human medical mysteries. "Perhaps," Dr. Blue mused to his colleagues, "we need to completely rethink our understanding of what constitutes fatal injuries when it comes to humans." 1 week after Jack Thompson's admission to the Galactic Central Hospital, the medical staff made a discovery that left them even more bewildered. During a routine medical history scan, the imaging system revealed a startling pattern of old injuries throughout Jack's body. Dr. Blue stared at the three-dimensional hologram floating in the conference room, each healed injury highlighted in different colors. The other doctors gathered around, their various appendages gesturing at different points of interest. "This is impossible," Dr. Red muttered, his color shifting to a deeper crimson. "According to these scans, this human has previously survived 3 broken ribs, a fractured skull, a punctured lung, severe burns on 20% of his body, and, is that a metal plate in his leg?" Dr. Green consulted the medical records Jack had finally agreed to share. "Yes, from something called motorcycle racing when he was younger. He describes it as just a hobby." The medical team fell silent, trying to process this information. In most species, such a history of trauma would leave an individual permanently disabled, if they survived at all. Yet Jack had not only recovered from each injury but had continued engaging in dangerous activities. "There's more," Dr. Yellow announced, pulling up new data. "I've been researching human medical records. Did you know they have something called extreme sports? They deliberately put themselves in dangerous situations, for fun." Dr. Blue's tentacles curled in shock. "For fun? You mean they willingly risk injury even when not necessary for survival?" Just then, they were interrupted by an alert from Jack's room. The human had attempted to leave his bed to help another patient who had dropped something. Despite his own injuries, his instinct had been to assist others. "Mr. Thompson," Dr. Blue said as they rushed to the room, "you must remain in bed. Your body is still healing." "I feel fine, Doc," Jack insisted, though the medical sensors showed he was clearly in pain. "Besides, that fellow looked like he needed help." Dr. Red pulled up the latest scan results. "Your definition of fine is concerning. While your recovery is remarkable, you still have significant internal injuries that would be fatal to most species." Jack just shrugged, a gesture the aliens had learned meant casual dismissal. "The human body's tougher than you think. Back on Earth, I once saw a guy survive falling from the 10th floor because he landed on a parked car. He was back at work in 6 months." The medical team exchanged glances, their various anatomical features expressing a mixture of horror and fascination. Dr. Blue made a note to research this new example of human durability. Later that day, in a secure conference room, the hospital's board met to discuss the implications of their findings. The human capacity for survival wasn't just about their physical resilience, it was their mental fortitude, their seemingly unlimited ability to endure pain, and their remarkable healing capabilities. "We need to revise the entire Galactic Medical Manual regarding humans," Dr. Blue announced to the board. "What we consider fatal may merely be severe for them. What we consider severe may be minor in their view. Their entire approach to injury and recovery defies our medical knowledge." Dr. Green added, "Perhaps most importantly, we need to understand their psychological resilience. The very fact that they can maintain optimism and even humor while severely injured seems to contribute to their recovery." As the meeting concluded, they received another alert. Jack was telling stories to the younger patients in the pediatric ward, completely ignoring the fact that his own injuries would have kept most species in a medical coma. Dr. Blue sighed, a sound that his species made when both exasperated and impressed. "Document everything," he instructed his team. "The galaxy needs to understand that when it comes to humans, our definition of fatal needs serious revision." 2 weeks into Jack Thompson's stay at the Galactic Central Hospital, an emergency alert echoed through the medical wing. Another human had arrived, a deep space rescue worker named Tom Miller, whose ship had been caught in a radiation storm while saving a stranded alien vessel. Dr. Blue rushed to the emergency ward, his earlier experience with Jack having somewhat prepared him for what human survival might look like. But nothing could have prepared him for this. "Radiation levels are off the charts," Dr. Green reported, her sensors wavering as she scanned the new patient. By all known medical science, his cells should have completely broken down. Yet his vital signs are stable. Tom lay on the medical bed, his skin showing severe radiation burns, but remarkably, he was conscious. "Did they make it?" he asked through cracked lips. "The family on the ship, did they get to safety?" Dr. Red checked the rescue report. "The alien family was saved, yes. But you remained in the radiation zone for 15 minutes after the recommended maximum exposure time. Had to make sure their life support was working," Tom mumbled before finally passing out. Dr. Blue gathered his team in the analysis chamber, where both humans' medical data floated side by side in holographic displays. "Look at this," he gestured excitedly. "Their cellular repair mechanisms are completely different from anything we've seen before." The displays showed how human cells fought back against damage in ways that defied conventional medical knowledge. Where other species' cells would simply die, human cells seem to rally, adapt, and sometimes even become stronger after trauma. "It's like their entire biology is built around surviving things that should kill them," Dr. Yellow observed, comparing the radiation damage in Tom's cells to standard medical models. "Their DNA repair mechanisms are incredibly robust." Meanwhile, Jack had heard about the new human patient and insisted on visiting him. Despite still recovering from his own injuries, he made his way to Tom's ward. The medical staff watched in amazement as the two humans immediately started sharing stories about their various near-death experiences, treating them as if they were merely interesting anecdotes. "Remember the Titan mining accident last year?" Tom asked, his voice hoarse but getting stronger. "Lost both legs below the knee. The docs grew me new ones in just 6 months." Jack laughed, then winced at his still-healing ribs. "That's nothing. My cousin survived being struck by lightning. Twice. Second time just made him better at math somehow." Dr. Blue's recording devices worked overtime, capturing every word of this casual conversation about survival against impossible odds. The medical implications were staggering. Later that day, in an emergency meeting with the hospital board, Dr. Blue presented his findings. "We need to completely revise our understanding of human medical treatment. Their bodies don't just survive, they adapt, learn, and sometimes become stronger from injuries that would be fatal to other species." Dr. Green added data from their latest research. "Their bones don't just heal, they become stronger at the break points. Their skin doesn't just scar, it becomes tougher. Even their mental resilience seems to increase with each survival event." The board members watched through the observation window as Jack helped Tom with his physical therapy, both humans encouraging each other with stories of previous recoveries and jokes about their current conditions. Perhaps most remarkably, Dr. Red noted, they seem to draw strength from sharing their experiences with others. It's as if their collective history of survival reinforces their individual ability to endure. Dr. Blue made his final notes of the day, adding to the growing database of human medical mysteries. "We must accept that when it comes to humans, our traditional understanding of medical limitations simply doesn't apply. They don't just survive, they thrive in conditions that should be impossible to endure." 3 weeks into the study of human resilience at the Galactic Central Hospital, a startling discovery threw the medical community into chaos. While reviewing data from both Jack and Tom's recoveries, Dr. Blue's team noticed something unprecedented: their bodies weren't just healing, they were improving. "Look at these cellular patterns," Dr. Blue explained to the assembled medical board, his tentacles gesturing at the complex holographic displays. "The human tissue isn't merely returning to its previous state, it's adapting, becoming more resistant to similar types of damage." Dr. Green pulled up comparative scans from Jack's mining accident injuries. The bone density at his healed fracture points is now 15% higher than his uninjured bones. It's as if their bodies learn from each injury. The revelation sparked intense debate among the gathered alien specialists. Their medical technology could repair damage, but the concept of biological improvement through trauma was revolutionary. Just then, an alert came from Tom's ward. Despite the severe radiation exposure he'd endured, his body was showing signs of developing radiation resistance. The medical sensors were detecting modified cell structures that seemed designed to withstand future radiation exposure. "Impossible," Dr. Red muttered, his color fluctuating with excitement. "They don't just heal, they evolve." Meanwhile, Jack had progressed to walking without assistance, his recovered injuries barely slowing him down. He spent time with Tom, sharing stories about Earth's history that left the medical staff in stunned silence. "You know, humans used to perform surgery on themselves in extreme situations?" Jack mentioned casually. "There was this doctor in Antarctica who removed his own appendix. And a scientist who performed heart surgery on himself using local anesthesia." Dr. Blue's recording devices captured every word, each story adding to their understanding of human capabilities. The medical team had begun cataloging these seemingly impossible survival stories, creating the first comprehensive database of human resilience. "Their adaptability goes beyond physical healing," Dr. Yellow reported, reviewing psychological data. "The mental trauma that would shatter most species seems to make humans more resilient. They have a saying, 'What doesn't kill them makes them stronger.' We're finding this to be literally true on a cellular level." The implications were staggering. Throughout the galaxy, medical procedures were designed to restore patients to their original state. But humans demonstrated that trauma, when survived, could lead to improvement. Dr. Blue called an emergency conference with medical representatives from across the galaxy. "We need to revise our entire approach to trauma treatment," he announced. "The human model suggests that bodies can be taught to become more resilient through controlled stress and recovery." As if to demonstrate this point, Tom had begun assisting the hospital's radiation safety team, his first-hand experience and newly developed resistance making him uniquely qualified. Jack, meanwhile, was helping design improved safety protocols for mining operations, using insights from his own survival experience. "Their ability to transform near-death experiences into practical knowledge is remarkable," Dr. Green observed. "They don't just survive, they learn, adapt, and teach others." The medical board's final report of the day included a revolutionary proposal: the establishment of a new field of study called human adaptive medicine. Its goal would be to understand and possibly replicate the human body's extraordinary ability to learn from and improve through trauma. "Perhaps," Dr. Blue concluded, writing his final notes, "what we've always considered to be purely destructive forces can, under the right circumstances, become catalysts for improvement. The humans aren't just surviving against the odds, they're teaching us to rethink everything we know about the relationship between life and adversity." For weeks after the initial admission of Jack Thompson to the Galactic Central Hospital, news of human medical mysteries had spread throughout the galaxy. Medical ships from distant systems arrived daily, bringing their most puzzling cases and seeking insights from the emerging field of human adaptive medicine. Dr. Blue found himself overwhelmed with requests for consultations. His research team had expanded to include specialists from 50 different species, all eager to understand how human biology might revolutionize their own medical practices. "The implications are far-reaching," he explained to a packed auditorium of medical professionals. Humans don't just survive, they systematically defy our understanding of biological limitations. In the recovery ward, Jack and Tom had become unofficial ambassadors for human resilience. Their room had turned into an impromptu learning center, with medical students from across the galaxy observing their recovery process. "You see this scar?" Jack pointed to his shoulder during one teaching session. "Got that when I was trapped in a cave-in for 3 days. No food, little water, had to dig myself out. Body healed itself even without proper medical care." Dr. Green's sensors recorded the gathered aliens' reactions, a mixture of horror and fascination. "But how did you maintain consciousness without proper nutrient flow?" one student asked. Tom laughed from his bed. "Humans can go weeks without food if we have to. Body just switches to burning fat reserves. Sure, it's not comfortable, but we're built to survive." Dr. Red burst into the room with new test results. "We've identified something extraordinary in their cellular structure," he announced. "Their bodies maintain backup systems for virtually every critical function. It's as if they evolved expecting to be severely injured multiple times throughout their lives." The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through the medical community. Other species had evolved careful avoidance of danger, but humans had apparently evolved to survive it instead. Meanwhile, the hospital's research division had begun developing new treatment protocols based on human healing patterns. Dr. Yellow led a team testing controlled stress exposure therapy, carefully designed to trigger the same adaptive responses observed in human recovery. "The key," Dr. Yellow explained during a demonstration, "is understanding that stress and damage, in carefully managed amounts, can actually improve biological systems rather than just harm them." The practice was already showing promising results. A patient from a traditionally fragile species had shown significant improvement in bone density after treatments modeled on human healing patterns. But perhaps the most significant development came from an unexpected source. The galaxy's deep space exploration teams began requesting human crew members, recognizing their unparalleled survival capabilities in extreme conditions. Their adaptability makes them perfect for deep space missions, an exploration fleet commander noted during a visit to the hospital. "They can survive conditions that would kill most species, and they actually get better at it with experience." Dr. Blue found himself working late into the night, documenting the expanding applications of their discoveries. "We're not just learning about human healing," he told his team. "We're learning about the very nature of biological adaptation itself." Jack and Tom were scheduled for release soon, their recoveries having far exceeded all expectations. But their impact on galactic medicine would last for generations. Before humans joined the galactic community, Dr. Blue noted in his final report of the day, "We treated all trauma as purely destructive. Now we understand that life can use almost any challenge as an opportunity for improvement." The human motto of "what doesn't kill you makes you stronger" isn't just an expression, it's a fundamental biological principle we never understood until now. 5 weeks after Jack Thompson's arrival at the Galactic Central Hospital, the day of discharge had finally come. The medical bay buzzed with activity as doctors and researchers gathered to document final observations before their groundbreaking patients departed. "I still can't believe the speed of their recovery," Dr. Green remarked, reviewing the final scans. "Jack's bone density has increased by 20% at the injury sites, and Tom's cellular structure shows permanent radiation resistance. They're literally leaving stronger than when they arrived." Dr. Blue gathered his team for one last round of tests. The past 5 weeks had revolutionized their understanding of medical science, but they knew they had only scratched the surface of human resilience. "Final readings indicate complete recovery," Dr. Red announced, his color bright with excitement. "But more than that, both patients show significant improvements in areas affected by previous injuries. It's as if their bodies used this opportunity to upgrade multiple systems at once." Jack and Tom stood in the discharge area, already dressed in their work uniforms and eager to return to their duties. Neither showed any signs of having recently survived what should have been fatal injuries. "You know what's funny, Doc?" Jack said to Dr. Blue. "Back home, this wouldn't even make the local news. Humans survive impossible things so often, we barely notice it anymore." The medical staff had prepared a comprehensive report for the Galactic Medical Council, documenting everything they'd learned. The findings would change medical treatment protocols throughout known space. "We've identified several key factors in human survival capabilities," Dr. Blue explained during the final presentation. "Their redundant organ systems, rapid tissue regeneration, and psychological resilience all work together in ways we never thought possible. But perhaps most importantly, their very cells seem programmed to view trauma as an opportunity for improvement."